Right now, in your pocket or on your desk, there is a device that knows more about you than your closest friends do, more than your family, more, in some cases, than you know about yourself, not in a vague, general sense. Specifically, precisely, in ways that would make you deeply uncomfortable if you saw it written down in one place. It knows where you were at 2 a.m. 3 Tuesdays ago. It knows how long you spent staring at a particular photo before you scrolled past it. It knows how fast your heart was beating during that conversation. It knows which words you type and then delete before sending. It knows when you stopped sleeping well and roughly when it started. It has built a model of your emotional state updated in real time, and it is more accurate than anything you would tell a therapist, and it has never once asked for your permission to know any of it. The standard response to this is, "I don't care, I have nothing to hide." And that response would make sense if the data were just sitting there, inert, unseen, going nowhere. But it isn't. It is being read, sold, analyzed, and acted on by entities you have never interacted with, in ways you have never been told about, for purposes that have nothing to do with making your life better. And the truly strange part, the part that most people never actually sit with, is that the profile your phone has built on you is almost certainly more accurate than the one you have built on yourself. Your phone doesn't care about who you think you are. It only tracks what you actually do. Here's what your phone is actually collecting, and most of this is happening right now. Location data is the obvious one, but most people don't understand the resolution. It's not just you were in Berlin on Thursday. It's that you arrived at a specific building at 9:14 a.m., left at 11:37 a.m., stopped for 22 minutes at a location that Google's database identifies as a medical clinic, then drove to a pharmacy, then went home. Every day, for years, stored, time-stamped, and in many cases sold to data brokers who aggregate it with location data from millions of other devices to build behavioral maps of entire populations. But location is just the beginning. Your accelerometer, the sensor that detects movement and orientation, runs constantly. Researchers have demonstrated that accelerometer data alone can identify your emotional state with meaningful accuracy. When you're anxious, you move differently. When you're tired, your hand tremors change in subtle ways. When you're drunk, your gait shifts in patterns the phone can detect and log. One study showed that accelerometer and GPS data combined could predict the onset of depressive episodes in college students days before the students themselves reported feeling depressed. The phone knew first. Your typing patterns are a behavioral fingerprint. The speed, the rhythm, the specific errors you make, the words you type and erase, all of it is logged by keyboard apps, and all of it is surprisingly revealing. Research into what's called keystroke dynamics has shown that typing patterns can identify anxiety, cognitive load, and emotional state in real time. When you're upset, you type differently than when you're calm. When you're lying, your response latency changes. Your phone is reading this. And then there's the microphone. The always listening debate has been going on for years, and most people have landed in one of two camps. Either they're convinced their phone is constantly recording them, or they think it's paranoid nonsense. The reality is more complicated than either position. Smartphones do use the microphone for wake words. Hey Siri, OK Google, which means the audio processing hardware is always partially active. The companies insist that full audio is not recorded or transmitted unless the wake word is detected. Independent researchers have tested this repeatedly, and the evidence for continuous secret audio recording is not strong. The conspiracy version is probably not true. But here's what is true, and what makes the microphone concern almost beside the point. Your phone doesn't need to listen to your conversations to know what you're talking about. It already knows where you went, what you searched for before and after, which apps you opened, what you bought, who you called, and how long the call lasted. The behavioral profile assembled from that data can infer the content of your conversations with unsettling accuracy. You talked to your doctor and then searched for a medication. The phone doesn't need to have heard the appointment. It already knows. You had an argument. The phone doesn't need to have recorded it. Your usage patterns after the fact tell the story. In 2018, researchers at Stanford and Princeton analyzed location data purchased from a standard data broker, the kind of company that legally buys and sells phone location data at scale. From that data alone, with no other information, they were able to identify individuals visiting cancer treatment centers, mental health clinics, abortion providers, addiction treatment facilities, and gun shops. Not by hacking, not by breaking any law, by purchasing the same data that is available for sale right now, from dozens of companies to anyone willing to pay. Your phone doesn't need to spy on you. It just needs to watch where you go. Now here's the part that goes beyond privacy into something stranger. The behavioral model your phone has built on you is being used to predict your future behavior and then to shape it. This is the core function of the attention economy. Every platform, every app, every feed is running a real-time optimization loop. Show you the content most likely to keep you engaged, based on your specific behavioral history, updated continuously, not content you choose consciously. Content that your past behavior predicts will hold your attention even when you don't want it to. The algorithm knows your weak points better than you do because it has been testing them systematically every time you've opened the app for years. Facebook's own internal research, leaked in 2021, showed that their recommendation systems could identify users in emotionally vulnerable states and that ad targeting could be adjusted to reach teenagers at moments when they felt insecure and worthless. The system wasn't built to exploit people. It was built to optimize engagement. But it turns out those two things in practice are very difficult to separate. And it goes further. Insurance companies in multiple countries have begun exploring the use of smartphone behavioral data in risk assessment. Not just fitness tracker data, behavioral patterns. How often you leave the house. What hours you're active. How your movement patterns change over time. None of this is illegal. Most of it is already in the terms of service you agreed to without reading. Your phone's data profile is not just a record of your past. In the hands of the right buyer, it is a risk score, a credit assessment, a mental health evaluation, and a behavioral prediction, all running simultaneously, all without your knowledge. Here's what all of it adds up to. The device you carry everywhere, sleep next to, and check within minutes of waking up has been building a detailed, accurate, continuously updated model of who you are since the first day you turned it on. That model includes your location history, your emotional patterns, your health indicators, your relationship behaviors, your financial habits, your political leanings, your insecurities, and your psychological vulnerabilities. It is more complete and more accurate than anything you would voluntarily share with anyone. And you didn't build it. You didn't consent to it in any meaningful sense. You tapped agree on a terms of service document that nobody reads, that is specifically designed not to be read, and that grants permissions most people would refuse if they were explained plainly. That data is now owned, in various forms, by dozens or hundreds of companies you have never interacted with and cannot name. The argument that this is fine because you have nothing to hide assumes that the people holding your data will always have your interests in mind, will never be hacked, will never be sold to a new owner, sold with different values, will never operate in a country with a government that wants access, and will never use behavioral prediction against you in ways you wouldn't agree to. Every one of those assumptions has already been broken somewhere, for someone. You are not the customer. You are the product. The phone is the factory, and it has been running the production line since the first morning you woke up and reached for it before you even got out of bed, which, if you have a smartphone, was probably this morning.